Hello, hello. Hello. It's okay, Instagram. I know you're telling people. It's gonna get a little noisy here for a minute. People are getting home. Hello, hello. So we just switched over from Facebook. Facebook was not giving us a reliable connection. So that's why we're here now on Instagram. So going through, just working on Christmas ornaments. So I use floor polish to coat the inside of the ornaments, and then I pour in glitter that sticks to the floor polish. And then it gives a beautiful glittery finish to paint on. Hi, Shannon. So far we have black glitter. I'm going to do some more of those. We have purple glitter, purpley pinky glitter, green glitter, and the blue glitter. So we got lots of fun ones. Hi, Paula. Thanks for switching over here, you guys. Facebook was, well, being Facebook, I suppose. Yep, and I just poured all of my extra glitter into this liquid. So we're going to start yet again with the polish. And I now have no more blue glitter. Good thing I'm cute so I can get away with doing stupid crap like that. It's all good. All right. Anyways. Hi. Welcome to my tutorial, where I show you all of the wrong ways to do things, even when you know the right way to do it. And your body and your... Whoa! Hold on. Hold on a second, you guys. I'll be right back. What happened? What happened? Oh, okay. Yeah, just the whole thing shook, so as long as everything's still stable. Okay.
You okay?
Yeah, just scared me. Sorry, guys. They were putting out a round bale, and they rolled the bale, and the bale hit my camper and shook it pretty significantly. So, yeah, that's fun for today, too. All right, let's try again. I'm going to grab another container, and we are going to move on. Right? We can do that. We can move on and keep going. It's cutting out here too. Crap! It's really, really windy here today, so I'm wondering if that has anything to do with it. I'm so over this stuff. I'm so over it. Oh, goodness, you guys. I'm so sorry. Hopefully. It says that I still have 3 bars. Is everybody having that experience with it cutting out? Please let me know. Let me know if it's cutting out on you. Still cutting out? Crap. I don't know what I should do. Should we try TikTok just for fun? But we might have to call it, you guys. We might have to call it, and I'll film a tutorial for my Patreon members. but we might have to call it for today. God, that's so frustrating. I'm so sorry, you guys. I really thought that this was gonna iron itself out. I was so optimistic, and I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Catherine, is it cutting out there? If you're not, it sounds like you're the only one who it's not cutting out for. Coming in better? All right, well, let's just see what we can do here. Holding steady now? Okay. Well, let's see what we can do. So I have another container now that I'm using for the black glitter. And we're going to do some red glitter too, because I forgot we haven't done a red glitter one yet. So we are going to move the black glitter aside. And we are going to grab a bowl for the red glitter. Cabinets. Bowl for the red glitter. A bowl that's dusty and there we go. Full of dog hair, or cat hair, I should say. Holding steady. Okay, we're good right now? Okay. All right. Well, let's just keep going and we'll see how it's going. We'll see how we do, and we'll just do the best that we can, right? That's all we can do. I can't think of anything else that we can do. So I'm going to put the lid on my black glitter so I don't dump it all over the floor. I'm going to move these cups full of garbage out of the way. And I'm going to bring this one here. Still cutting out on you too. Pooper. Okay, we'll stay on for another 15 minutes and see if it levels itself out at all. See what we can do. Now this one has a lot of bubbles in it. I'm trying to stay nice and close to my adapter too. So let's see here. So see, this one has a lot of bubbles in it, so I really want to try and coax those bubbles out. I don't want a ton of bubbles in there if I can avoid it. So sometimes even just turning it the other direction, you can kind of push maybe some of those bubbles out. And if not, a little tapping. At least if they're closer to the top, they've got a much higher chance, especially with the weight of the liquid coming down behind them, of kind of pushing that out. You can even get in there and try to pop a couple of them. All right. So now we move to the bowl. We move the floor polish out of the way. Again, I'm in Canada and I got this. It's Quick Shine floor finish. Shine, Protect, Refresh is the stuff on the bottle. And much like Pledge, from what I understand. Hello in the Netherlands. How are you? Let's see. I'm going to actually open this. So I've got two different spouts on here. I've got like two different shakers, like salt and pepper shaker sides, a small one and a big one. But I'm going to just take off the lid and try and make life a little bit easier, at least with this part. And I'm literally just going to dump an absolute ton of it in there. And then what I'm going to do is tap off some of that excess, and then I'm going to put this right in the bowl. And now I'm going to just roll this glitter around, and it's going to stick to that floor polish. And then we just dump her right back into the glitter. Keep in mind, if you tap too much, you might lose some glitter, so it might not be as thick of a coverage for you. So you might want to leave some extra glitter in there, and you can always tap them out again before you get ready to paint, or just leave the glitter in there. That's okay too. So there we go. So now we've got a bunch of colors. We've got a couple black, we've got a red, a purple, a blue, and a green that we added the glitter to. So again, this is with floor polish. Okay, and then the glitter sticks to the floor polish. Now, let me try and Look, it's just sticking to the inside of the bowl. That's not going anywhere. That's better to try and flush down the toilet, maybe. I don't know. Set it on fire. Does glitter catch on fire? Probably not. Glitter and the cockroaches will be what's left over after a nuclear disaster, right? Now, you don't have to go through all of this. You can buy ones that are already done for you, right? So there's a matte blue kind of metallic, the glitter, and then the shiny one. I got this in a package for $1.50 at Dollarama. Again, the plastic ones. They're plastic ornaments. I got a set of teal ones as well, and they had them in small ones too, which I thought were super, super cute. So, yeah, so you don't have to go through this process of the floor polish and the glitter. You certainly don't have to. So do whatever makes your life the easiest and what you enjoy the most, right? If you don't enjoy painting plastic ornaments and you enjoy painting glass ornaments, do that for yourself. But just make sure that you just play around with a couple different options and look in some of the different places that you look already for craft supplies for really nice ornaments like this that you can paint. Like I'm excited to paint these ones. These ones are going to be cool. So I'm going to use multi-surface acrylic paint on these. Now, what I don't really have a plan for is where I'm going to set them to dry. So I'm going to have to find a place to let a bunch of them dry. And because I'm going to let them sit for the 28 days. Now, they're going to be dry enough and secure enough to be able to ship, I would say, after about 10 days. It's just, they're not fully cured on there. But I've had Christmas ornaments sitting out for 10 days to 2 weeks, and there was no picking that paint off. So if wrapped correctly, like don't ever wrap your ornaments with the first layer being bubble wrap. If there's any kind of moisture or heat, it can impact the paints and cause it to stick to the bubble wrap. So if you're shipping them anywhere, parchment paper is one of the best things that you can use, but even just tissue paper or some craft paper, and then do your bubble wrap around that. That's what I do for my mugs too, just in case. And try not to stack them on top of each other when they're drying. Like in a perfect world, I've actually got a bunch of cup hooks. I'm actually thinking of stringing a bunch of them along the wall here and just hanging a ton of ornaments from there, because that would be a really good spot for them to dry. And I mean, I'm going to be dealing with these walls later. Or you could get a piece of pegboard, right? And get a couple of those long thingies that stick into the pegboard so you could hang quite a few of them. Right? You could even put like a little bit of parchment paper in between them or something like that to keep them from touching or be able to space them out. So space is really the issue when it comes to this. So in a perfect world, you would probably start painting them fairly early if you're getting ready for Christmas, or you are switching to glass as well, right? I keep looking for alternative holiday stuff that is non-Christian. Well, and that's the thing, right? It's so hard because pretty much everything is based in that, right? So then you just really go with, well, Santa's not Christian. Santa Claus isn't Christian. It's the Christian holiday, but it doesn't have anything to do with Christians celebrating Christmas. Even just snowflakes and snowmen and all of that sort of stuff, that would be, just go for winter holidays. That reindeer, that sort of thing. Okay, so in painting these, I like to do a lot of single color or maybe some slightly, a few different colors. So I'm going to actually just start with some gold and some white. And then I'm going to continue on here with these. I'm on a live.
Oh, I just
yeah. Don't worry about it. It's okay. Yeah. Thank you, though. Yeah. Sorry, you guys. So I'm going to start with a white and a gold, but you can do as many different colors on them as you want. If you are using your multi-surface paints and you are painting on plastic ornaments, always remember to give your first layer of paints a full 24 hours to dry before you do top dots. Okay, it's not going to be as big of an issue because you're not baking them, so it's not going to have a huge impact, but even still, just to make sure that the paints really have enough time to start to dry and really adhere to the surface before you add more layers of moisture on there. Okay. Yeah, some hooks on the bottoms of the cupboards would work as well. I just have to be aware of not putting them where I sit, right? Because then I'm always ducking. Hi, guys. Hello. Hello, Gita. Hello, Zara. So, yeah, for example, for the blue one, I want to really, I want to use white and gold on a lot of these because I think that white would look really good on any single one of these. Yeah, I just turned my camera back here. There's a delay from when I do it to when you see it. There we go. All right. So now the thing with this is finding your center too, right? You could create a template for yourself and mark a center. I usually eyeball it. That may or may not be comfortable for you, but you can measure it out if you want to. I usually just kind of eyeball it with my finger before I place my center dot. So I am going to now, and I also start with a little bit, I kind of look at this as the same size as my 3.5-inch stone. So I don't start with huge tools. I kind of go as big as a 10 or an 11 for my, of the DIY mandala stones tools for a center. But you can make it as large of a center dot as you want. I would rather have more room for a mandala design, rather than taking up too much space with the center dot. So looks fairly good, I think. Now, even when you're using thick paints, plastic is so slick and slippery. Don't be surprised if your paints move around a little bit. See how there's that little ball of paint? When I hold it down this way, it's going to sag down here pretty quickly. So keep that in mind as well. You might need some extra time to just kind of turn it around to redistribute that paint into areas where there isn't as much paint to even that out. Taking the time to do that will also do you a favor when it comes to your drying time too, right? This dot is going to start to dry a lot faster if the paint is nice and even compared to if there's too much of a blob in one area. That blob will take quite a while. Oh my goodness, all the animals are coming now too. It's going to take a lot longer to dry that blob of paint than it would if it was spread around. And you can always use your tool as well, right, to kind of push it around. But you want to do that very quickly while it's still very, very, very wet so that it will start to kind of smooth and even out. Silver paint is really nice too. I'm unfortunately really frustrated with silver paint, just from my experience with craft acrylics. Multi-surface silver paint is better than regular craft acrylic silver paint for the most part. But what I find is it's even still really watery. So I find it takes me a long time to paint with it, because it's typically so watery. And I have yet to find a multi-surface silver that's thick enough so that it's at least similar thickness to the other multi-surface paints. This white is also fairly liquid, and it's actually making me wonder if I grabbed the regular paint instead of the multi-surface, so we'll find out. So I'm going to use my micro dotter though. Expect your dots to be larger than you anticipate too sometimes because of the smooth surface. Just like when you're painting on ceramics or anything smooth, the paint spreads out differently than it does on wood or stone, right? So you want to be prepared that what you are used to with your tools on wood or stone or canvas is not necessarily what your tools are going to do on a smooth surface like this, right? So you really want to be aware of what your tools are going to do with this paint. Right? You're also probably going to find that you need to leave more space between your dots and your rows than you would on another surface. I quite often, if I'm not careful, I will get I will get dots running together, and that's really, really frustrating. And I mean, on this surface, if you make a mistake, you just scrape it off. I'll use a toothpick, or I'll use like a wooden barbecue skewer, stir stick kind of thing, because it kind of pulls things off fairly easily, and it won't scratch the surface, right? If I scrape paint off of this surface with something metal, if I use too much pressure, I'm going to scratch the surface. So I try to use wood for that, because you can apply a little bit more pressure. So if you do make a mistake, or if there is something that you want to change, you can definitely do that. But what I would recommend is, unless you're like, if you're at this point and you want to start completely over, wipe the whole thing down with a wet paper towel and clean it up, and you're good to go. If you're 2 or 3 rows into this and you have a couple things that you want to change, my recommendation is make life easier on yourself. This is the one time where I do think that I make life easier on myself. Put it aside and let it dry for about an hour, hour and a half. Then the paint is going to pick right off, and only in those spots that you want to change. If you try to wipe it off while it's wet and you've got a lot more of the design already built, you're going to run the risk of smudging the other parts of your design as well. Whereas if it's dry, you can pick off just the very specific things that are not working the way that you want them to. I hope that makes sense anyway. So I'm going to switch to the gold. And you could do any colors you want, right? Like, it's just like anything else. You have the complete and total control over what colors you're doing. Even though you're doing Christmas ornaments, do whatever freaking colors you want. Do what makes you happy. I'm going to have rainbow ornaments. I'm going to have plain white ones. I'm going to have plain gold ones. I am going to do some silver ones. I'm just going to kind of get a strategy for how I'm going to dry those and keep them level so they don't drip all over the place. And maybe I'll luck out and find a good silver multi-surface paint. I don't have the folk art silver yet, so I'm going to try and find it, because it's usually quite a bit thicker. The folk art multi-surface is what I typically find to be the thickest. So I'm just stirring some gold here. But I'm also going to keep it simple, right? Like, it also depends on how many ornaments are you trying to put out, right? Are you building inventory for your shop and for your business? Are you doing a Christmas craft show? If you are, one of the things that I really had a hard time with is letting go of the idea that everything needs to be one of a kind all the time. That I can create a one of a kind design that is all mine, right? Like we all do. But I can repeat that design on as many things as I want. So if I want to paint 5 ornaments and have them all have the exact same design on them, that can make life a little bit easier. Some of you may have heard me talk about my assembly line process, where if I was doing all of these ornaments with the exact same design, I would do the center dots on all of the ornaments. Then I would do the first row on all the ornaments. For me, it makes it a lot faster. I get through them a lot quicker because I'm not constantly changing tools. I can actually get a bunch done, and it helps me with my consistency as well. So if you are trying to create a bunch, then give yourself permission, if it feels good for you, of course, give yourself permission to not have to make every single one of a kind, right? Let yourself create a whole bunch of them with one really beautiful design. There's nothing wrong with that. I started doing that with my pendants too. So, not every single pendant needs to be one of a kind. And they're all going to be slightly one of a kind anyway, right? Because they're not being mass produced. They're still being hand painted. So one of them, even though you do the same design, might have a slightly different size dot than the other. If you're using different, if you're maybe just added a little too much paint one time. Like, there's so many ways to still make it a little unique. You could actively, purposefully make some change if you wanted it to stand out, right? There's all kinds of things you can do there. So I'm going to now go with a larger white dot again, and this time I'm going to do So I'm even watching this gold. Sorry, this is important to see. So see this gold, right? See how much it's already flattened out, right? It will continue to flatten out on these smooth surfaces. This goes for mugs, piggy banks, vases, anything like that that you're painting, right? So just keep that in mind and watch the paints. This is one of the thickest paints that I have, this gold, and like a lot of elasticity in it, so it doesn't move around too much without a lot of coaxing. But it's spread out a little bit. So just really pay attention to that so that you're aware of what your sizes are going to be when you're using your tools. Like I always kind of go down 1 or 2 tools just to be on the safe side. Like right now I was considering a 7 or an 8, so I'm actually going to go with a 6. Just to make it a little bit, do I want it there? No, I want it here. And even that was a little bit bigger than I had intended anyway, but that's okay because I can apply the same pressure. So there's a bunch of different things that are going to impact your dot sizes, right? You've got the pressure, you've got the amount of paint, you've got the type of paint. You know, thicker paints and thinner paints are going to behave differently with the same size tool. Like I said, the amount of paint, you could create 4 or 5 different size dots with the exact same tool just by changing the amount of paint that you have on your tool. And the amount of pressure, right? Are you letting the paint just kind of flow off of the tool on the end, or are you applying pressure? Applying pressure will increase the size. It's pretty. I like it. Okay. So let that sit for a second. So the biggest thing with Christmas ornaments really is organization. How many are you making? Are you making them all the same design or groups of them in the same design? Or are you doing everything one of a kind? If you're doing everything one of a kind too, expect it to take you significantly longer. As opposed to kind of mass producing one design yourself, mass producing, like doing 10 of one. Is the connection going again? Is it crapping out again? Let me see if I move this up here. I'm trying to get as close to my adapter as I can, and I can't move it. Can anybody hear me? Crap. We were doing good for a while there. Crap. I'm sorry, you guys. Oh. Has it caught up with itself yet? I jumped up to 3 bars. I'm hopeful. Anybody? Can anybody hear me? Oh, I'm so frustrated, you guys. I don't know what to do about all of this. Oh, I'm so sorry. Can anybody hear me? If you can hear me, please let me know. If you can hear me, please let me know. If you see me moving, please let me know. Let me try something. Oh, if I don't trip myself. Let's try again. I'm going to continue talking just in case there's anybody here. I am coming back. Let's see if I can get away with it here. See if that helps at all. I'm not getting more than 2 bars. You can hear me? I jumped up to 3 bars for a minute, but then it's back down to 2. Move that out of the way. You can hear me? Okay, thank you. All right. Well, let's just keep going and we'll hope for the best. Okay. Thanks, Jill. Okay, so I'm going in now with... I'm going to go back in with my micro daughter and some white. We're good now? Okay, awesome. Yay, we'll keep going then. And this is where, especially around the holidays, you know, for snowflakes is a nice one that's, you know, a fun design, and it's based off of geometry. There's so much geometry in snowflakes, right? And symmetry. Very, very similar to doing this kind of thing. So it depends on, do you want it to look more like a snowflake? Do you want more negative space? Do you want to fill it up with a lot of design and a lot of detail? You know, play with it a little bit. See what you prefer. Try both. And see what you like. So I am going to go in and do some walking dots here. Now, as you get out closer to the edge, you're going to notice, just like when you're doing small stones, that you have less and less space to rest your hand while you're painting. Okay, so keep that in mind. That might be a time to let it dry a bit first. Oh, I'm totally missed that dot there. Let it dry a little bit first. And then come back to it. I do find that I do that quite a bit, especially when it gets out towards the edges. Now, I think it would be fairly easy to create a template. For this, I think you could create a nice round circle template, put the hole in the middle, and then just kind of rest this on it. I think if you made it big enough, you know, if you made it a little bit bigger than the ornament itself, then you could almost lay it down and then make sure that what I'm envisioning, right, is if you have a piece of paper and the paper comes out to about here, you're going to be able to see clearly if it's misaligned in one direction or not. So you can use that to find your center and then flip it back over and find your center dot. So that might be something that's comfortable for you, and I don't think it would be too difficult to come up with a template for it. But if you're not going to, if you're going to fly by the seat of your pants like I do, be prepared that there are going to be some that you don't notice that it's off center until it is too late. So when that happens, yes, it's incredibly frustrating. It is disheartening. I have cried before when it's happened. But you have a couple options. How much is it off center? Is it really that noticeable to everybody else? Will it be noticeable to everybody else? Or is it just because you've been an inch away from the piece for a long time, so you see everything? Or is it something that will just blend in and nobody's actually going to notice, right? So make sure you talk to people, show people your work if you're having questions about how off-center something is, and trust your gut as well, right? When you look at it, does it make you uncomfortable? Like, how bad does it make you feel? I've had people tell me that I've got some stuff that I've sold as imperfects, and I've had people say to me, what is imperfect about it? There's nothing wrong with it. I'm like, all I can see is what's wrong with it. I'm not going to tell you what it is, because if you don't see it, then that's great. I hope you enjoy this item. But it's something that I see every time I look at it, right? And I hope that other people can't see it. I really do. But if it's something that I can't, that I see every single time I look at it, it makes no difference to me as far as when it comes to making a decision of whether to sell it, whether other people can see it or not. If I'm not happy with the work that I produced, I am not going to either sell it for full price or sell it at all, right? So remember that you always have that control over what you do with this stuff too, right? And I'm talking from a business standpoint. If you're giving these away for gifts, you know, again, feel really good. Flexible measuring tape, that's a really good idea too. Yeah. So there's lots of tools out there. It's just really what you're comfortable with. But like I said, if you do decide to go and eyeball it, just be okay with the fact that not every single one is going to turn out perfectly. Right? You could sell them as imperfects. So it doesn't mean you have to cut a loss and completely scrap the whole thing unless it's really, really bad. And also remember that you can take the design off and start over again. So you can always start over if you really, really have to. And if it's really bothering you, right? So what do I want to do now? I find it a lot tougher when I'm using only a couple of colors, that it slows me down quite a bit. But that's okay. It's the fun part. It's the fun part. It's getting into a whole different mindset, right? It's a whole different mindset painting this stuff compared to getting ready to paint a wood panel or getting ready to paint a stone or a canvas or something. These are tiny, they're quick, very reminiscent of painting a pendant, only even a little bit more so because I typically use fewer colors on this. And maybe that's where I need to just look at it and say, screw it, use 10 colors. Do every single ornament in rainbow. Who cares, right? I have a hard time seeing a division of the design and keeping it spaced out enough so that if I use a single color that it stands out. So that's an issue with me because I tend to do very tiny, very close detail work, and I have a really hard time leaving negative space, right? So that's a big one for me. So when I'm doing a single color mandala, I really, really struggle with that. When I'm doing multiple colors, I can definitely use it to help me, but it's very, very different, and it's still really difficult to only alternate between two colors for me. I struggle with it every time. So it is something that I do like to challenge myself with and see kind of what I can learn from it and what kind of aha moments come from it almost. So I added those little bit of gold. I think I am going to add a gold swoop. It's time for some swoops. Oh, good. The wind just blew my awning shut. Completely open or shut, open. So I'm going to have to shut this window. Yeah, now that I'm hearing this wind, I'm not surprised that the internet is not necessarily cooperating very well. So I'm going to start here. I'm using my micro dotter and just really, really slowly bringing that swoop down. When it comes to swoops, if you are still practicing swoops, this is a good surface to practice on because it is so smooth, but your paint will move very, very quickly. So make sure that you're not using too much paint or it will get blobby and again, potentially run together with your other dots. Right? So you want to use a very small amount of paint. And again, get to know your paints, right? Never hurts to have like a little practice ornament that you try out the most common colors of paint that you're going to want to use on Christmas ornaments, right? And then you can see what they look like. Looking at a micro dot with the gold compared to the white compared to maybe a red or a green or a blue or whatever color, right? See how the dots are different and try to use the same paint so that you can build yourself a little bit of a legend almost on a test piece so you can kind of see what you're getting yourself into. Or you fly by the seat of your pants, and if it works, it works, and if it doesn't, it doesn't. I like to think that someday I will be that kind of organized to create that sort of stuff on a consistent basis and use it on a consistent basis, but I just don't think I am. I used to have a test canvas that I would try things out on, try out color combination. I used to use it an awful lot. And even if you don't use it all the time, it's always a tool that you know you can have in your toolbox, right? Use it if and when you need to. There we go. All right. So we're getting there. Oh, I don't know, you guys. Well, that sounded like a wasp that just flew past my head. Uh-huh. All right. Well, we'll see what happens with that one. We'll see if he comes out of the little corner that I think he landed in. Then we might have to do some wasp removal. Okay, so now I'm going to use the white again. And I'm going to do a little dot at the end of all of these gold ones. Just like so. I know that there's a lot of emotion and a lot of crazy stuff going on out there in the world right now. But I hope that hanging out here for a little bit today is giving you an opportunity to just stop and take a breath for a minute. That's pretty. I like that. You could totally do a bunch of ornaments like this, Sharon. For Hanukkah too. Yeah, had to switch over to Instagram because Facebook was not behaving itself. Instagram really isn't behaving itself terribly well either. But we'll see how we do. All right, I'm going to do another little dot in here. See what I mean about how I have a really hard time with negative space? I really don't leave a lot. I think one of these days I'm just going to have to challenge myself to that. Just really use up and take advantage of some negative space and really try practicing some really simple pieces. Hi, Elizabeth. There we go. So there we go. I gotta figure out this lighting situation too. I got some work to do. I got some work to do out here to get this a little bit more ship shape, I think. But we're doing all right so far. Okay, so next I'm going to do some swoops. I'm going to do some more swoops here because we're almost at the edge of the design, right? I don't need to fill it into the very, very edges. And when I'm looking here between the top of this one, there's not a lot of space there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do some swoops and then we'll do a couple little dots and then this baby will be done. Hi, Elizabeth. So really get to know your paints, really get to know your tools on the surfaces like this. If you've got a ton of ornaments, get some at the dollar store that you can practice on, get so that you know how your paints are going to behave. Make the decision on if you're going to paint with just regular acrylic paints. There is nothing saying that you can't do that. But if you're selling them or if you're giving them away, it's important to let people know that they are unvarnished and that they need to be handled with great care, right? Now, if you're painting the whole ornament, like if you decide to paint the outside of the ornament, then it's a totally different story. Then you can varnish, right? But I'm talking about when you're painting on the surface and leaving some of that shiny surface ahead. None of the varnishes that I have tried have worked out well. So if you find one that works well for you, that you really like, please share and let everybody know that there's an option that you found that could work for them. Because that would be really, really good to know. But like I said, I haven't found anything yet, and I will also share it if I find anything. So again, there's nothing wrong with using regular acrylic paints on these. Totally okay to do, but just know what that means as far as longevity and all of that sort of stuff. And if you are going to use the multi-surface, think about, do I need to be able to bake them? Do I have room to set a bunch out aside if you're planning on doing a whole bunch of them, right? How many are you going to do? And are you wanting to make them all unique, or are you wanting to make just a bunch of one design or a bunch of a couple designs? That's probably what I'll end up doing, is I'll play around for a little bit until I find a design that I really, really like. And then I will do a whole bunch in them. And if I still really like the design and I'm enjoying doing that design, then I will continue on with that design, or I'll say, no, I've had enough of this one, and I'll start something different. That's what I like about the kind of assembly line process too. Like I could say, I'm going to do 10, and for sure all 10 of them are all going to be the same design. Then at the end of that 10, you can say, you know, maybe I'm sick of this design. I don't want to do this one anymore. I want to do something different. But then you've also just created 10 pieces, which is incredibly gratifying if you're trying to build up some inventory, or even just if you're trying to get a bunch of gifts done all at once, right? Like maybe you want to paint some for Secret Santa, or for some kind of office party, or some kind of gift exchange that you're part of. Or maybe you just want to paint a bunch to put them all over your house so that you get to look at them every day. Oh, I gotta breathe there for a second. That was terrifying. Did you guys see what happened? I dropped it and it slid down in the front of this Tupperware container, and somehow none of the paint got smudged. It's now going flat on the table. It will not be going back in that container at all. Done with the container. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. All right. Now we go in. And I'm going to go in with my micro daughter and do some last little swoops. See, and that's still a lot of paint. That's better. That's better. So the faster you go, the quicker you will get your point in your swoop. I'm going to have to fix that one. I'm going to take those two off because look at how different they are. No, I'm not happy about that. Thank you. Thank you, Cindy. Yeah, I impressed myself with that one, to be brutally honest. Hey, Chris, how you doing, love? There we go. That's better. Yeah, I'm going to try and fix my lighting situation so that I don't have that ring light reflecting on everything. It's nice when I have a canvas, but it's not so great when I'm painting on a mug or something shiny. The pigs, it's bad on the pigs too. So I am going to be posting a bunch of new items on my website. I've got a bunch of necklace pendants. Necklace pendants are one of the options for prizes on the giveaway I'm doing on TikTok right now. If you are not already following me on TikTok, or if you are and you have not entered the giveaway, go do that. The giveaway is, I've got 3 different prize options. 4 tutorials from my website if you're a beginner, a ticket to a mug painting party, or one of my necklace pendants. But you can only enter on TikTok because we are celebrating over there. It's your best day so far. Oh, that's wonderful. Gonna break out a mug later. Nice. That's awesome. Fantastic, love. That's great to hear. And I'm going to do white here. 5, 6. And I count when I do these. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I clean off my tools a lot more when I'm painting this sort of stuff. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I feel like I was saying something and then I completely moved on from it too quickly. Are there any unfinished thoughts, things that I started talking about that you're waiting for me to finish? Oh, good, you entered. Wonderful. Yay. Yeah, it's pretty exciting. Hit 150,000 followers over there. Bananas. It's so funny because my dad, he's so friggin' cute. He always says, he goes, now, I don't want you to be insulted by this question, but I'm very, very curious. I said, what's that, Daddy? And he says, why do that many people watch your stuff? And I'm like, I don't entirely know. I have ideas. I think a lot of people find it relaxing. I think a lot of people find it inspiring. I said, I'm not really 100% sure. I said, and to be brutally honest, I'm just happy that they are. But it's just so cute. He's like, why? I'm like, I'm not really sure, Daddy. I don't really have that answer for you. So there we go. First one done. Can I get rid of you, stupid light? I got to figure this out. So anyways, there we go. So that's the first one. So now you might get to this stage and go, it's not covering enough of the ornament for me. I want it to cover more. That's okay. This is practice. I could easily come in here and get rid of these walking dots, and I could add a whole other row around here in this section where these little walking dots are, right? So be kind to yourself. You might say, I really like it, but these swoops are too small or they're too big. You can always wait for it to dry, pull those off, and try something else. But I always kind of look at the first couple that I paint. They're just exercise. They're just practice. It's like getting back on the bike after not riding a bike in 5 years or longer, right? Let yourself just practice and have fun. If you make it about the fun, you've got a much better chance at creating something that you really, really, really love, right? So yeah, so there's that one. And I'm going to put it flat on the table and put it aside. Now, I feel like I've got a bunch of rainbow, and I feel like I want to do that. But I also feel like I want to paint on green. I feel like I really want to paint on green. What do we think? What do we do on green? Do we do a nice simple gold? Turquoise on black? Well, that's always a good option. I feel like white and red would be white and red and gold on the green. Okay, we'll have a couple here. So let me make sure, well, I've got my turquoise stuff that I used last night for the mug party last night. Thank you. That's so nice. No, I don't normally do both sides simply because of the amount of drying time that it takes, and having to actually flip this over and lay it on the other side freaks me out so badly. So no, I'm only going to do the one side. And again, because this takes 28 days to cure, I would still have to wait a good 10 days before I would feel comfortable flipping it over and laying it down on something. In order to paint the other side, and I wouldn't be able to only paint it holding the edge like that. And then what do I do with it when I'm drying it, right? Unless I had a really good setup to make sure they were very sturdy and standing up like this, that would be possible. So if you had a really good setup where you could stand them all up like this, and you were comfortable painting holding only the edges and not having to like hold it like this, right? Because I wouldn't feel comfortable. It would all be about how would I let it dry. If I had a stand or something, then that could work really well. Yeah, my daddy's so cute. He knows nothing about what's going on and everything. He just is happy that I'm happy. Would you always have to keep them upside down? No. Once you've got the glitter in there, they'll air dry. So I would just leave the top off and they'll start to air dry perfectly fine. You don't have to turn them upside down. The only time you have to have them upside down really is if you coat the inside with paint. And like I mentioned, unless you have a really, really good setup and cleanup for transferring the paint out of like a tray, it would be... it's a mess. It's an absolute humongous mess. I left one ornament sitting upside down on a cookie drying rack, and it was draining into a little tinfoil pan underneath, and it drained constantly for 3 days. Just drip, 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 one drip at a time. And now again, I obviously used way too much paint, but I really didn't think that I did. It spread so fast. So you could do it with the paint, and that's when it would need to sit upside down. But when you're doing the glitter and this stuff, you don't need to. By the time you put the glitter in there, if you keep it upside down after you first put the floor polish in there, that'll get any excess of the floor polish out. And then once you put the glitter in there, you should be good. You should be good. So let's do a gold center on this one. So I'm just kind of eyeballing it again. There we go. Let me tilt this. Now that's a little over to the right, I think. Looks like it's a little too far to the right. So I'm going to grab my paper towel and wipe that off and start again. And try again. Pooper. There we go. Okay. So this time I'm going to put it, can you see my face in the ball? Hello. I didn't shower today, so I look like a disaster. Okay, I think that's better. Might still be a little to the right, but I think we're all right. Okay. Now, I'm gonna go in with my lightest color. I'm gonna go from light to dark. Light to dark? Yeah, light to dark. So for my Patreon members that are here, this is going to be uploaded in 2 parts, like the last one was, when we jumped back and forth between Facebook and Instagram. And I think for next week, I'm just going to make the call and just make the permanent switch over here to Instagram, at least for now, until I can feel a little more confident in my connection. And they're probably going to take me until probably end of day Tuesday to get them in there. I'm going to try and get them done tomorrow. But just in case, okay? Oh, I have a halo. Look at that. Oh, because I'm a damn angel. Yeah, I only paint the inside, and it's floor polish and black glitter. And then it gives me a nice background to paint the dot mandalas on the outside. I like having the background color. I've tried painting a couple of them clear, and my depth perception gets thrown way off. The number of times I kind of ended up stabbing at the ornament because I thought it was farther away than it was. Yeah, it really kind of messed with me a little bit. Such an angel. Little do they know I've got them all fooled. All right, medium teal. I just did a mug in these colors last night for the mug painting party. So there's a bunch of new stuff that's going to be going on the website later on this afternoon, evening. A whole bunch more pendants. I think 12 new pendants. Some rainbow ones that are really, really, really pretty. And the 2 blue piggy banks are going to go up today. And there are 4 new mugs that are going to go up today too. So I'll put a post up once they're up there, but just as a bit of a heads up. There are going to be those few things that are going to pop in there. I'm guessing that what I'll do is I'll actually put a post up with like an hour's notice before they go up. because I think those piggies are going to go quick. Would you guys ever want to do like an actual full tutorial on painting something like that, and talking through different ideas and stuff like that? I know we talked about, how to replicate a design on either side, like to create the same design on both sides, but there's lots of other ways that you could paint those piggies, that it could be really, really cool. So if you guys would like a tutorial on one of those, we can sit and do kind of like a brainstorming session and try a few different things and see what we like, see what different kind of ideas kind of turn out. My next tree is white, blue, and silver. Oh, yay! Oh, yeah, you're going to have so much fun making these. Okay, all right, we'll do that. We'll do a tutorial on that. Ding, 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 ding. I've got a few things too. Like I've got a birdhouse. I've got the little VW van that I still haven't painted. I painted some base coats on it and I was really unhappy with it. I painted it a bunch of bright colors like fuchsias and blues and yellows and a little bit of white, and I took one look at it and I'm like, oh my gosh, it looks like Mr. Bill. Looks exactly like Mr. Bill. That's not good. This is not a Mr. Bill bus. I want it to be a mandala bus, so I'm gonna end up painting it black and starting over. But we can do some of those with some of those different shapes and different things to paint on. I've got a wood cut out of a ladybug, so maybe that would be a good topic then, to kind of go through some ideas for some of these different pieces that we all might buy to paint on. How to strategize, how to figure out what you like, what you don't like, all that good stuff. Oh, the teapot, yes. We definitely need to do the teapot. Picture frames. Oh, that's a good idea. I'd love to get my hands on like a mirror that has like a really nice wide frame. But yeah, picture frames is a good idea too, because then there's a bunch of different ideas for that. So yeah, I'll gather a bunch of that kind of stuff and we'll do a day where we just talk about all of these different things that you could paint on and different ideas of how to do it. That'll be fun. That'll be super fun. Oh no, you didn't find any? I haven't gone looking for them lately, but I haven't seen them in the spots where I would have expected to see them. So I don't know if maybe there's something that got pulled to make room for something else. I don't know, but hopefully someday. I was excited to go into a couple Dollaramas this week though and find lots of black mugs. That made me really happy, because those are the fun ones for me. Those are my favorite ones to paint. So I'm going to stock up on some more black mugs soon. I'm going to paint all of the stuff that I already have first, because I've got still about 25 mugs to paint. I've got a lot of gray ones. So I'll start painting those soon too. But we'll definitely do some tutorial on that sort of stuff. A wooden spoon. Ooh, that's a good idea. I need to go on a shopping spree to Michael's then, and go seeing what I can find. What kind of funky stuff I can find into Dollarama and stuff too. I was looking at a couple of different things at Dollarama, but they were all like serving trays and stuff like that. And just the idea, because these paints aren't food safe, it made me nervous. But at the same time, it would be really, really cool. Really, really cool to paint some of that stuff. All right, so now I'm going to go in with a size 5. And I'm going to do a white in every other space. I always dot across for me because it helps me visualize a line, like I'm visualizing this nice straight line across here. And it's where you can kind of do some corrections in spacing sometimes, because sometimes the 2 dots that you've got down below aren't perfect in the perfect spacing that you necessarily might have wanted, right? So don't be afraid to not stay lined up with the stuff that the dots you've already laid down, right? Keep the symmetry going, and if there's something about the symmetry that's off, either correct it or modify what you're painting to kind of go around it and to kind of move it around a little bit. All right, so now I'm going to go back to my lightest teal. What do I want to do? I'm going to do walking dots. I don't know why that was such a tough decision for me. There's so many cool things out there to paint. You find that we'll talk about the tables, and then we'll talk about just the standard stuff, right? Like when you're creating something round on a square, how do you approach that? What ideas do you have? How do you want to fill the canvas? Sorry, I got really quiet there for a second. I was focusing. So I'm concentrating really hard here when I dip my paint in the tool to not get too much paint, because I want to create these really teeny tiny delicate dots, right? So you develop muscle memory for that as well, but it takes a couple of times. Jewelry box. Ooh. Yes. I actually have a couple of them here, so we can totally look at some of those. I've been holding off on them because I've been wanting to find some really nice velvet that I could line them with. But I've got a couple of cool boxes that we could look at. Oops. I decided to do both sides for some reason on that one. Let's just go with it. And when in doubt, slow down. If you find that you're making mistakes, you're getting inconsistencies, whatever that word is, if stuff is happening that you are not happy with, when in doubt, slow your speed. Hi, Naviz. When in doubt, slow your speed. Especially when it comes to swoops. Yeah, that would be good. I'm good, Naviz. How are you? I hope you're doing well. I have paint all over myself, so that I feel very productive today. I got a bunch of photography done this morning. I found my gold paint pen that I thought was lost and gone forever. It's a paint pen I used to sign some of my work. So I was very excited about that. It's been a good start to the day. I feel like I got lots done. So feeling pretty good about myself today. So I'm going to go to my medium teal now. And my plan is actually I might go back in and put little tiny gold dots in between all of those blue dots, but I'm going to wait until they're dry so that I don't risk the paints running together. I mean, if I use the F word. Maybe. Thank you, Naviz. Sorry, Elizabeth, my brain's not going there. Show you what? I will happily show you. I just have no clue what I should show you. I'm so sorry. My brain has already gone off on 50 million tangents. I really need to get diagnosed because I'm pretty convinced that I have ADHD. I really need to get that looked at. So I will happily show you. Please remind me what I'm showing you. The pen. Maybe. Oh, yeah, I do have it here. So I bought a set of paint pens, acrylic paint pens on Amazon by brand Aeroic. They're okay. Poscas are nicer, and if you can get the extra fine Poscas, they're much better. This one it says an extra fine tip, but it's still pretty thick, so it's not super, super pointy. I mean, it's not bad, but, and these, you have to shake the ever-loving daylights out of them before you can use them, because they don't mix terribly well. They came in a set of, I want to say 15 or 20 of them for $15, so I did get what I paid for, but the silver and the gold are really, really nice, and so is the white. Sometimes I'll use the white to go in and do little tiny white top dots instead of going in with a dotting tool. Sometimes I do that, but they're just from Amazon brand. And they're definitely, if you don't have to use a whole bunch of different colors and you don't want to spend a ton of money, it was definitely great value and I even use the black every once in a while. So really, if I consistently use all 4 of those for $15, that's still a pretty good price compared to some of the cost for the What's-Its, the Posca ones. Yeah, it's way too thick. So this is a point, yeah, so a 0.5 would still be really big. And that's the hard part, finding ones that are like actually super fine. Like if I could find one like a marker tip pen, a felt tip pen, that kind of thickness, that would be a dream. Poscas are better quality, a little more opaque with the white as well. I mean, with any of them, with the white ones, you have to go over it a few times if you want to create like an actual solid white line. But they're pretty good. If you're ever looking at doing murals or actually like big ones, Posca paint pens are very commonly used for that, and they come in a bunch of different sizes. There's also another artist, 4100. She's in BC, in British Columbia, and she has a line of pens that are called mural pens. And I think she has a couple of different, I don't know how fine hers go, but I would definitely try hers out if I had the opportunity to. And I hope to have that opportunity to at some point. Ooh, bookends would be cool. One of the boxes that I have, it actually looks like a book. So it's got like the rounded spine and everything. It looks really, really cool. There's a bunch of cool boxes out there. Yeah, we'll play around with some really cool stuff. Maybe we'll make that something that we talk about regularly, right? Maybe it's not just a 1 week kind of thing. Oops, that was too little paint, I think. There we go. I'm going to go back over this side and add a little bit more paint to some of these dots. They were a little tiny for my liking. Oh, do they blob and splatter a lot? Oh, that's frustrating. I've had the splatter, especially if I'm drawing on wood. It will splatter when it kind of goes over rough spots. If you're going to use them on canvas, I highly recommend, just like if you were going to do a dot mandala on canvas, that you use a couple of coats of gesso to help smooth that surface out. And I don't know if I'm assuming you could probably even use gesso on wood as well. That might help smooth it out a bit. Or you could always put a couple coats of varnish on it and then paint it black or whatever color you want for your base coat color. Or paint it with the base coat and then put a couple coats of varnish on. Even like a matte Mod Podge for a sealer, right? And then do other stuff on top of that. Don't be afraid to, add layers of varnish or finish to your projects too. If that's going to help you with upcoming layers, definitely you can do that. All kinds of cool stuff you can do. And there's no wrong way to do it. You do it how you want to do it. I told you guys, my coach said to me, it's not if you could do it any way you want, it's since you can do it any way you want, how do you want to do it? And if you work towards that North Star, whoo, all kinds of cool stuff will happen. Don't be afraid to dream really, really big with what you want. And that means even just in your art, don't be afraid to try different things. Try different things that you like. You can make this any way you want to. Yeah, I like these colors a lot. This is pretty. All right. I'm going to steal an idea from one of the mugs that I did, and I'm going to do a nice long swoop in here. Because you know I'm not going to do a whole one without any swoops, right? Not quite as pointy as I wanted, but that's probably because I must be using too much paint or going too slow. If you go faster, you'll get much more of a point on the end of your swoops. Slower you go, the more paint you're pulling down with you to the end of the design. So if you move a little bit faster, not too fast like I just did, you can find a happy medium there. Looks very much like a teal mug that I did not too long ago, one that's actually on the website. Are you going to do top dots after they dry? Yes, on this one I will. I'm going to do some top dots on top of the white. When you're using multi-surface paints, just make sure that you wait at least a full 24 hours. I say at least because it's been incredibly humid here. Even though it hasn't been super hot, there's been a lot of moisture in the air here. So I will probably actually leave them a good 48 hours before I do the top dots on these, just to make sure they're really good and dry. Oh, I like that a lot. I like it a lot. So now... I'm thinking. Okay, I've got an idea. I have no idea how it's going to turn out, but we're going to try it. So I'm going to go and do a size, 3, 4, 3 on the ends of this in white. It's going to be slightly bigger than the end of the swoop. Slightly. I'm going to go down and actually do this one now too. And then this one. Whoa, wind. Holy. Another idea, dangly earrings. Oh, that would be fun. Yeah, I should totally get some different molds for the resin, because I use molds and paint on the resin for the necklace pendants, but I should totally get some that I could do earrings with. That would be cool. And on little projects like that, it's fun because you can get really teeny tiny detail, right? You could do dot painting and do a bunch of these black ornaments and do like spider webs on them. You could do, it doesn't have to be Christmas. It can be other kind of stuff, right? You can just make a bunch of pretty stuff. So I'm going to, nope, that's not what I wanted to do. Nope. That's not what I meant. Not what I meant to do. Meant to grab the light teal. Whoops. All All right, so I'm going to wait for that dot that I just put down there. I'm going to wait for that to dry and then I'll pick it off because it's way too close to the light blue, to the white one. So I'm going to do this. Try this around here. Oops. Wait, everybody still here? Did my light just go? Hopefully you guys are still here. I am a little bit worried. I do still have 2 bars, so hopefully we're still good. This kind of stuff is tough to do too because you can't really do any guidelines. I mean, you could, but I think it would cause more frustrations than anything. This is definitely an exercise in practicing spacing and practicing sizes and everything, right? Okay, good. Glad you're still here. Thank you. Thank you for letting me know. Oops. I find it's a delicate balance between picking up too much paint and not picking up enough. It's usually one or the other. So I'll skip this side, like I said, and I'll come back to it later. And I'll do this side and then I'll just skip that one, come back after and fill it in. All right. I find that doing these long swoops and then doing some design at the end almost forces me to leave some of that negative space, right? It forces me to. So I'm actually going to go right off of the... no, I'm going to do swoops. Okay, so I'm going to grab that same size, do a little bit bigger actually, out here, like so. One more here, that's going to be the last that I'm able to fit here before the neck of the ornament there without it going all wonky. So that's how I know that I'm really just about done my design. And I'm looking at it and it's a little off center because I did it this way, right? I'm making it look off center, so I really want to fill this out so that it's not super, super apparent. But it feels very lopsided to me. But that's okay. Because if the design turns out well, and if I fill it out enough, oh no, it's way off on the sides too. I went way too far to the right. So this is practice. This is just practice. By the time I was painting ornaments last year, after I've done about 15 of them, it got to be second nature. Sorry, I was just looking because the dog's out barking and I don't know why. All right. So now I'm going to do a swoop. Nice long one like that. So I'm going to kind of push the paint down a little bit to help me make it travel. Sounds like the dog wants to go inside. That's our polar bear. Well, if he's still outside when I'm done here, then I will take him in. So see when I hold it upright this way? This is actually nice and parallel with the screen. It's farther to the right this way, and it's a little cockeyed. Is it cutting out for everybody again? We had a little bit of time where it was doing all right. At least we got some good time with some decent connection. But if it's cutting out again. But the wind has gotten really, really bad, so I can't say that I'm surprised. Oh, I like this though. Okay, good. Oh, not quite enough paint there. Okay, good. I'm glad. Thanks, guys, for letting me know. Our internets do not mix well together today, Elizabeth, apparently. Your internet and my internet are not getting along. Now, I'm going to leave space for that one. All right, so I'm out of space going out that way, but I feel like we use the dark, dark, dark teal. Oh, I think I know what I'm gonna do. I know, I figured it out. I am going to grab some of the super dark teal that's really thick and clumpy, and I'm going to come out here. But I'm leaving some decent spaces there, right? That means I'm going to do something with those spaces. So let's see. See if it turns out the way that I want it to. And it might fix the spacing issue too. Okay. A little bit more here. So challenge yourself when you do pieces like this. And it could be a stone, it can be an ornament, anything like that. But start to really kind of recognize what are the skills that you want to practice more. Right? Like I want to practice using negative space more. I'm getting that very, very clearly, right? I want to practice more with fewer colors because I'm definitely more comfortable the more colors there are. There's lots of different things that you can recognize that you want to practice when you're working on things like this, right? So what I will end up doing is I will end up going back in and over the white dots, I'm probably going to put more gold. And then I'm also going to bling it out in the middle, in between, in here. I'm going to put little gold dots once that's dried. And I'm also going to do those little gold dots in between here on these walking dots. And I'll fix that one. So that might have actually fixed the spacing issue. I mean, it's still a little cockeyed, but I think we can live with it. But it's something that I'll probably keep in mind on the next ones, right? Is to see how can I keep that symmetry going? Because in theory, every other space should line itself up, right? So how can I use that to my advantage in future designs? There's so much that we can learn from every single thing that we do here, right? We can learn what we like, what we don't like. Anytime we learn what we don't like, we gain clarity of and more sureness on what we do like and what we do want. And then we can just start kind of jumping in and playing with things, getting some really clear ideas of things we want to practice. I'd like to practice minimalistic design on larger pieces, like on larger canvases. There's so much that can be done there. But the most important thing, no matter what you recognize or decide that you want to practice or you want to learn, make sure you do what is fun. If it is not fun, the practice is going to be an absolute bitch and a half, right? The practice needs to be fun. You need to look forward to it. Doesn't mean everything needs to turn out all the time. Doesn't need to be, means it needs to be fun every second that you do it. Because there are times when I get so frustrated, I'll cry, I'll walk away. I won't even paint for a couple of days because I just need that break. That's okay. But when you do sit down to paint, be very aware of your mindset and what you're trying to accomplish, and let the painting do that for you. If you're sitting down to paint to release yourself some stress, let the painting do that for you. Pour it into it. And it doesn't have to be something huge to pour any energy into. You can pour energy into any size painting. I feel like between these two, I've gotten so much information on what I want to do for a lot of my ornaments. I want to do a lot of these teal ones. I think they're really, really pretty, but I also want to do a lot more single and two color ones. And how can I really grow my skill on that? So I've had a lot of fun with you guys, even though the frustrations were there with the signal and everything. I've had a lot of fun today figuring this stuff out, and I'm trying not to put that pressure on myself for things to be perfect. What can you learn from it? What clarity does it give you? And how do you want to move forward on the next one? Look for that kind of information. Not, did I do a good job? Is this up to my standard? Is it up to anyone else's standard? Right? Did you have fun? Because if you did, then you've done something incredibly valuable for yourself today that a lot of other people out there aren't doing, don't even know that it's possible for them to do. There's so many reasons why people aren't doing it out there. So just be kind to yourself and make sure that you are allowing yourself to have fun just for the sake of having fun. And I promise you, that is when the magic happens and you end up creating something that just blows your own mind. I hope that today has been helpful for you, even with all of the jumping around and crappy signal and other stuff that could have gone wrong. I hope that today was helpful for you. Patreon members, this will be uploaded onto Patreon by end of day on Tuesday at the very, very latest. I'm going to try to have it done much sooner than that. And for anybody who doesn't know what my Patreon is, it's a monthly membership where it gives you access to my entire library of tutorials, and every Saturday tutorial gets added in there every week as well. So if there's ever anything I can do to help you, I can't promise you that I have the answers. I definitely don't have all the answers, but I'll happily share what I've learned and what I continue to learn. And I'm just grateful you guys were here. Thanks for spending the afternoon with me. I love you guys so much, and I will look forward to seeing you again very, very soon. Take care of yourselves. Love you. Bye-bye.